Your facts are not altogether well.
All right, point out specifically.
May I finish my
point out specifically. Sir, if you're going to call me a liar, you need to point out specifically where any facts are wrong.
We went to the mosque prior to Boston.
Prior to Boston.
Prior to Boston happening, we were in that mosque talking to the imam several months beforehand as part of our outreach efforts.
Were you aware that those mosques were started by Al-Moody?
I've answered the question, sir.
You didn't answer the question. Were you aware they were started by Al-Moody? You were not.
That was Texas Republican Louie Gohmert talking to the outgoing FBI Director Robert Mueller about the Bureau's role in investigating the events behind the Boston bombing. The hearing also included looking into the practices of the IRS and the NSA. Joining us now, Congressman Gohmert. Thank you for coming in today, and happy Father's Day.
Nice to be with you, Shannon.
All right,
Thank you.
we have a lot of material to cover, so I want to start there with this question about whether or not the FBI was investigating this mosque, what they knew about the Tsarnaev brothers. Director Mueller said that they had been there. They had talked to the imam. He said as part of outreach programs. Does that mean an investigation? What does that mean?
No, it's consistent with what he's testified before our committee when he said we have an outreach program to the Muslim community. He said the Muslim community is like every other community, and we have an outreach program directly to them. And so when I asked him in a previous questioning period, I said, if it's just like every other religious group, then how's your outreach going with the Buddhists and the Christians and the Jewish folks? How's that? Well, there is no other outreach like those. So when he said outreach, despite what some of the mainstream can't get that you do, is that that's not investigating the mosques. It's not investigating the Tsarnaev's brothers. That's crazy. They should have been investigating mine. He didn't even know, and it's not hard to get. These are the articles of organization. Al-Moody up here at the top.
Who is the man who is now imprisoned for
over 20 years
for supporting terrorism.
Yes.
He was one of the co-founders of the mosque.
Well, he was the founder of the Islamic Society of Boston, and another guy that was involved on the board of the Islamic Society of Boston, Kawardawi. His brother is head of the something called Al-Qaeda, maybe you've heard of. I mean, and all this, there have been people radicalized at those mosques, and our own FBI director, he's a good man, but he has been so bathed in this baptism of political correctness. They weren't investigating for the right things. Their outreach, oh, we want to be closer. I don't know if they sang Kumbaya there or not. But
well, is there something to be gained, though, from creating and cultivating those relationships, as he said they were trying to do? I mean, can that also be helpful in investigating?
Not if there are people being radicalized. That's like saying we would have been better off if we had gone to Al Capone and really nurtured a feeling of love and friendship. And I don't know what's been going on in those mosques, but there are people who attended there who've been radicalized, and we need to get to the bottom of it. They used to have sting operations. That stopped.
I have to ask you about something that I've not heard many places at all. It is important. What is the Sensitive Operations Review Committee? This is a Justice Department and FBI joint venture. What is it? Who are these people? What do they do?
Well, Shannon, you're only the second person I've ever bring it up. I was the first. But I am so glad you asked. This is the Sensitive Operations Review Committee, and as you know, you really do your homework well.
We try.
They've redacted most of the information in here that would be helpful, just like the subject matter experts, the SMEs, that went through all of the FBI training material and purged it of anything that might be offensive to Islamists. They classified who the SMEs were. Well, I can guarantee you the Muslims know who they are, and they're thrilled that they went through and purged. They classified the purged material. Michelle Bachmann and I went through it. Lynn Westmoreland went through it. There's no reason to classify that because I'm sure the Islamic community is thrilled with the things that were cut out of there that talked about, well, I can't go into what they talked about, but the FBI is not being trained for things they need to know, and this is yet another layer of political correctness. You got to go through this sensitive sensitive operations review committee before you can do anything in the form of justice if it involves a group like Islam.
And, you know, you and I have looked at the same documents. Everything's redacted. You can't read it if you try to find out. And, of course, there is some interest in our intelligence agencies being able to keep things secret, but we don't know who's on this committee. We don't know how they operate or what they do. But what we do know is that if you want to investigate certain people and places, you have to go to this committee. So we'll keep digging. You keep digging. You find out. Let us know, because I'm sure the American people would love to know a little bit more about how this
As a former
operates.
prosecutor, I cannot imagine having a sensitivity committee to go through before you prosecute. My father, who hopefully is celebrating a happy Father's Day in Mount Pleasant, Texas, taught me better than that. If it's right, you do it.
All right. Congressman, thank you very much. And again, happy Father's Day to you.